to your very first job, and what prompted you to say, yes, I'm going to do that?
That was the Ivory Snow thing.
Another job.
Oh, the other job. Okay.
Not the snow job, but the
Snow job.
behind the green door you're speaking about.
By the way, I must say I've seen your work.
Oh, thank you. I've seen yours also. I'm a very big fan of yours. So.
It was not Lassie behind the green door. This one. Continue.
Okay, where were we? How did I get into? How did I decide to do
behind the green door?
What made you say, yes, I'm going to give this a go?
How old were you? I'm sorry, I don't
Well, I'm 27 now. I was 19 at the time. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I was in The Owl and the Pussycat with Barbra Streisand and George Segal, and I had decided at this point in my life that I wanted to be an actress, a star, whatever, and I felt that, you know, I had always had great intentions of, quote, legitimate or general audience types of films, whatever, but I have never had any hang-ups about nudity. So I moved to San Francisco and read an ad in the paper one day that said, now casting for a major motion picture. So kind of got into it innocently. And I liked the fantasy of Behind the Green Door, and as I said, I had no hang-ups. So basically, I felt that I had to do something that would draw attention and be controversial.
Well, you certainly succeeded there. So, and then I was amused also that everybody had to take a nice VD test before they could sign up for the film to participate in the sex acts.
That's something that I request at all times. I mean,
that's in your contract,
oh,
is it?
Certainly.
I see.
But you don't think that X-rated films or pornographic films are a stepping stone to then general audience films?
For myself?
Yeah.
Well, that's not really my goal. My goal is to be a really good entertainer. You know.
But in X-rated and
well, I've done both. I've done R-rated films. I've been on Broadway. I've been in London. I've done a lot of other things besides X-rated films. I personally enjoy X-rated films.
She says that's entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a form of entertainment.
May I draw Rita Jen Red into this? Because Rita was with us in another capacity. She was sitting there the other day, and we were talking about her career as it began, then her marriage to John Jenrette, then her posing for Playboy magazine. So far, do you think you share something of the same philosophy or not?
I would never envision myself being involved in an X-rated film. However, I think what we have here are the basic First Amendment rights, which our forefathers fought for, which are very important to our basic freedoms.
Freedom of speech and expression,
Freedom of speech and expression. I think a person has a right to go into a certain theater or not go into that theater. A person.
I don't know that old John Hancock had this one in mind.
There were no films, were there films back there?
There were films, no.
But we're talking about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom to have a different philosophy from another person and not be jailed for that reason. Our country was founded on separation of church and state and the ability to have the freedoms to express ourselves as we believe philosophically.
I don't think anybody on this panel would disagree with the First Amendment or our guest side.
No. Excuse me, Marilyn, believe me, we want to hear your answer. We'll just break away for a moment and we'll be right back. Hello, am I back? I'm just studying my notes in absolute shock and apoplexy. We're back with Chuck Traynor and Marilyn Chambers. We had begun to discuss First Amendment rights, and in all honesty, we feel it's veering away from the real subject at hand, which is this. Chuck Traynor has a reputation for having done films before he met Marilyn, among them Deep Throat. He was living with and managing Linda Lovelace at that time. You all know about the book that she wrote saying that she was abused, battered, backed into that whole situation without any ability to fend for herself, and says that it was just a terrible experience. On the face of it, this relationship seems to be the same thing in that you are the mentor, Marilyn is the actress. Marilyn, however, seems very happy. Are you telling us that Linda Lovelace's story is a fabrication, first of all?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, how many times have you ever heard a divorced wife? See, I was married to Linda and, for 4 years, speak highly of her husband. I think she reached a point in her career where she couldn't go any further, and you know, didn't really say anything for 7 years that we were together. She just came out with the book not too long ago. And, you know, I think it was just a matter of financial gain on her part. I think she wrote a book for an audience that wanted to hear it.
So her story about being in such a state that she could not come forward, that she was literally fearing for her life, that she wears support hose to take care of the damaged veins from the beatings in her legs, all of that is fabrication.
Do you think that Linda Lovelace is talking about a completely different person?
Yeah, well, I think it's sour grapes, personally.
That's very tough, sour grapes.
Yeah.
It's not just the
Well,
normal.
it is, and it's
very
unfortunate for her because it's not, it doesn't apply to me. See, I've never met Linda, honestly.
No, but you've met him.
Oh, of course, and I've known people that have known them when they were together. And from what I see, none of it is true. I mean, since we've been together, you know, I hate to ruin your reputation, but he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Okay, so he's a great husband, but you don't feel you're being sex-exploited by being asked to have sex
They're
with
not
anyone
married,
else?
excuse me, are they?
Oh,
No,
you're living
we're
together.
not.
Best pals, chums.
Okay, it is your choice to have to make these films, is
Yes,
that right?
it's my choice. I made Behind the Green Door before Chuck and I ever met, so I sought Chuck out because I saw what he did with Linda Lovelace. He made her a worldwide name practically overnight. And I feel that in this business, as you probably all know, having a good manager is the key to success, I think.
Well, it's one of the keys to success. Could I ask, though, it seems to me that you are very proud of the work that you do as a queen of pornography, as they say, and yet you also seem to want to have success in the so-called legitimate ends of this business, doing plays and singing, and I have difficulty with that because it doesn't seem to me that they both go hand in hand. You're either the one or the other. Everybody gets typecast in this business. If what you're doing is so neat, why do you want to go straight, as we might say?
Well, I don't. Personally, I mean, I feel that no one's ever done this before, of walking that fine line of being able to do both and being accepted by critics, you know, on both sides.
You're
So
very, very proud, then,
I am. I think it's important to be versatile as an actress, and I feel that, you know, whatever the part calls for, and the director directs you in such a way that you have to take your part to the extent that the part calls for it.
That's how it works.
Method acting, huh?
That's how it works.
Phyllis, what did you have to say?
It's just, I'm going to take a position that I never in my life thought I would take. Now I'm not talking about approval or disapproval of what goes on. That's my own personal thing. But as far as exploiting someone, I can't imagine. I'm not talking about you personally or what you do. I have very severe feelings about that. But as far as being exploited, I don't feel that anyone's exploiting anyone. This is a business like anything else.
Yes,
I mean, I happen to disapprove of a lot of the things personally, but as far as the exploitation or sex, that's I don't see that. I'm not talking about Linda Lovelace or the book or anything that happened before. I'm talking about what we're presented with now. I mean, then it's sort of unjust, you know, to...
No, may I ask, obviously this seems to be a joint venture, a business arrangement.
Exactly.
And yet I find it interesting that you have detached yourself emotionally so from watching your lady participate in sex acts with all these other people, men, women, and on screen and be reviewed and everything. Do you not have... What makes you feel passionate?
Well, it's... First of all, when we met, we were both already in the business. We were business partners before we became involved with each other. But I totally separate physical enjoyment from emotional involvement.
That I don't understand.
Okay, physical enjoyment, people say, let's make love. What they're talking about is physical enjoyment. They're not talking about emotional involvement, the act of sex. I don't cross the two. I don't think that sex is really...
you can have sex one without the other.
Yeah, a sign of love. I mean, I think love can be mental, it's physical to a point, but if you confine it to physical attraction, then I think you're missing the boat.
But having both together is, of course, the ultimate in any relationship.
Do you think you'd be told about...
Well, I think
We have to tell you about a few other things right
misunderstood.
now. You know how it goes. We'll continue to kind of hobnob here and invite you back in a moment.
Fisher-Price creates a little world where your child can make make-believe happen. A place where the circus can come to town every single day of the year. And where the firefighters are especially brave, even though they're so small. Because everything runs on imagination in the play family world of Fisher-Price.
At Gimbels, we're Santa's helpers this Christmas.
For your favorite men, frost beater gloves by Founds.
At first glance, they're plain handsome in acrylic knit and suede leather.
But they're lined with chill-chasing acrylic pile and one size fits all from Founds.
And for warmth and comfort every step of the way, slippers from Jiffy's by Interwoven.
Classic velour slip-ons or quilted boots lined with soft acrylic pile.
Perfect for after ski or shower from Jiffy's.
Great gifts he's sure to love from all of Santa's helpers this Christmas at Gimbels.
It's the Harrow's Christmas Man.
Want to know what I've got in the box? It's a Harrow's Canadian Quik-a-Tree.
Wow!
This tree can be put together in minutes, looks real, can be used year after year, is 7 feet tall and only $24.88. All Quik-a-Trees come with a 5-year limited warranty, stand and storage box. Harrow's, we've got Christmas.
I know you're watching TV right now, but I'd like to tell you about a radio station. A station that plays some very beautiful music. Right here at 93 FM and AM, WPAT. PAT has a beautiful way with music that helps you relax when you want to. So when you want to relax, you listen to me. And listen to 93 WPAT, the place to relax.
Deck him.
Okay, we're back again with Marilyn Chambers and Chuck Traynor. We heard deck him from June. Deck whom?
Well, Chuck has said that if he sees, if she's on the set making love and having intercourse for the camera, that's cool. But if that same fellow is whispering in her ear privately in the dressing room, he...
Yeah.
I think he's got it backwards. What do you think?
I'm thinking about that.
That's backwards.
Now, let me just hold the applause. We're very short of time. Rita, you had something to say, but to the panel, did you?
No, I think that nothing is said. Thank you.
Let's get down to the emotions here.
Well, I think First Amendment is very important, but beyond that, I think that I wanted to ask you, Marilyn, that, you know, when I don't know, there were some snickers or whatever when you were saying, well, I make love on camera, etc. How do you feel about that? You must be very strong internally to deal with that. Don't you get that all the time when you're...
Well, I feel that as an actress, you know, being able to expose your innermost personal emotions, which obviously
and your outermost.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. I don't mind that. Is a very personal thing, but it can be done in such a way where it can be very beautiful. And I feel that there's nothing obscene about the sex act. And I feel that if you can convey that on film, I mean, personally, I find nothing obscene about sex, so I don't have any hang-ups.
And has it been coming on to you in a certain way because of the film?
Most men are intimidated by me, actually.
So they're quite afraid
I'm
of
all
you.
set.
I was wondering about a voyeurism on his part, about do you get any, are you aroused by the fact that she does have sex with other people?
No. I think all managers are probably voyeurs.
So then you wouldn't go to her movies.
What was that?
No,
I had honestly had not seen any of Marilyn's movies until about a week before we met. I see, of course, I see the movies that, you know, that we produce, but no, I'm not actually turned on by watching an X film.
Have any of these later movies been as successful as Behind the Green Door?
Insatiable, my latest film, is the #1.
Insatiable, that's the name
it's
of
the #1
Okay,
extra in the country.
Oh, Insatiable. When we all get old and we all get wrinkled eventually, we all grow old, what happens then with Marilyn Chambers and Chuck? I mean, what if Chuck finds another protege to promote? Will you just be the happy housewife?
No. I think that the reason for our success in particular is that I feel very secure in my relationship with Chuck. I don't feel threatened or anything like that. And we have a lot of other businesses going, you know, financially we're fairly well off. And so I know that there's an end to it someday. So I hope that I can gracefully say thank you.
But how would you feel if you did find, I think that's a very interesting point, another protege?
I'd cry a lot.
You'd cry. It would bother you if he...
Sure. Well, you might have a few financial strings to pull if it came to that, wouldn't you?
Because we're partners.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You are partners.
I've got that taken care of.
You've got that taken care of?
One point I do want to bring up that I think is the main point of this whole thing is that I really enjoy what I do. You know, I'm a very happy person. I think that what I do is healthy. And some advice, I mean, if you ever want to make your sex life really spiced up, I mean, this is a very therapeutic thing to do an X-rated film.
I see. Well, I haven't seen it, but I want to tell you, I'm so glad I made it today. Listen, Marilyn, you know acting is really the art of pretending. So let's keep that really, truly in its proper function there. I mean, because if you go off and then la-la land with all kinds of, you let the emotion carry you too far. Yes, you really can. Yes. There wouldn't be anybody safe on the streets if all those actors were really as far gone as they pretend to be on screen.
Know I'm sorry, who your ideal woman is. Do you have an ideal woman? I mean, if some...
You're going to laugh. But
no, we won't. No, we never laugh.
Well, I met Loretta Young about 6 months ago, and she is one of the most beautiful women I think I've ever met. She's
Loretta Young. She's not to laugh. She is a beautiful,
she's just the most, I mean, she's an ageless beauty. You know, and she's just. I learned a lot from speaking with her. I think she's. If I could be like someone, it would be like her. You know.
Did she understand what you do?
Oh yeah, we got along great.
What did she think of it?
She's a very, very lovely woman, and she's very open, obviously.
She's very religious, I thought.
I didn't get that impression. I don't know. We didn't speak about religion.
We didn't speak about religion. Right.
I think she's a lovely woman. But back to what you were saying about that people are to be an actor, you have to you pretend.
Yeah.
Well,
the art of pretending.
The art of pretending. Well, obviously, if you're having real sex before the camera, there has to be a certain line where you're not pretending anymore. And, are you acting or not acting? And I think it comes to the point where you really have to enjoy yourself. And you have to totally underact.
Remember that, June. Just
somebody
She said you had to
Tony and my Emmy nomination. I had the wrong approach.
It seems to me, though, that you may feel that some of us think sex is obscene. I don't think there are any of us who do.
No,
it's just that sex with many different people on film is a different thing for most of us.
True, and there is an audience for it. I mean, and obviously Behind the Green Doors made $50 million, so there are some people that are interested.
Are we losing these people now? Forgive me, I've lost all track of time and date. We thank you both, Marilyn and Chuck, for being with us. We thank all of you for being with us, and we'll come back to say something, I'm sure, in just a minute or two.
Hi, Grandpa. Can we give you a checkup?
Well, sure. Fisher-Price's first medical kit is very special. It comes with a stethoscope that really lets you listen to heartbeats. And a blood pressure band that can be squeezed. There's something to look into ears with and something to tap a knee with. Our medical kit has lots of things young doctors need to give their patients the very best of care by Fisher-Price.
Nobody covers everything going on in this town like the Channel 2 Newsbreakers. Dennis Cunningham on Broadway.
You're in newsbreaker territory.
Mr. G with Mother Nature.
You're in newsbreaker territory.
Warner Wolf with sports.
Let's go to the videotape.
Cunningham, Mr. G, Warner Wolf. Whether it's Broadway plays or Warner's Plays of the Month, you're in newsbreaker territory.
Hi, I'm Alan Hamill, and Acme has an inexpensive way to fill your home with holiday beauty. Poinsettias from Acme. They're so fresh and lovely, our low prices will surprise you. Just $3.69 for large plants with 4 to 6 vibrant, red, long-lasting blooms. Bring them home for the holidays. Give them as gifts. The florist quality poinsettias from Acme. Your store for low holiday prices. Merry Christmas to all from Acme. Tell a friend.
Looking for a night out on the town? Stay at home with WHT, America's premier movie network. Enjoy movies, movies, movies. Every month is a brand new lineup of Hollywood's finest movies and finest stars. Plus, top off your night with Nightcap adult films. And you don't need cable TV. Call toll-free today. In New York, Long Island, and Connecticut, 1-800-631-7800. In New Jersey, 800-672-1151.
So many
Well, this is
subjects. Yeah, Rita is saying that she thought maybe to talk with people in the audience about First Amendment rights and whether or not this kind of activity has anything to do with it might be useful.
That's right. I mean, it's happening today. The Norman Lear movement versus the Jerry Falwell movement. It's Falwell.
But you know, but now the thing is,
the moral majority head.
there are so many people in between all of that. Between Jerry Falwell and Norman Lear's movement.
Yes.
And you're saying maybe it is they
I'm sure
who
that they, you know, would have something interesting to say about it, because even now, this man I was reading about in Time magazine has a whole movement going to get people like Procter & Gamble not to promote certain shows if X is on that show doing this and so on.
Yeah, it's very heavily talked about.
Yes.
Sandy, do you have some final thoughts about what we visited about today?
Well, no, I mean, I think that if people want to go and see her movies, they should have the right to do so. I mean, if there wasn't a market, we all know that there wouldn't be a movie. So I am here. You have your Tony and your Emmy nomination, and I am going to give her my vote for a nudie. What can I do?
June, your thoughts?
Oh, well, sure, let him do it. Sure.
Oh, well, thank you, June.
But we weren't here to tell them whether they could do it or couldn't.
No, but I mean, that's fine. We've got a nice working arrangement.
I learned something, though. What? Better posture. Did you see Marilyn Chambers? Sit up, everybody.
Yes.
Very important. You've got to learn something from every show. Posture. Sit up straight.
Now sit up and almost smile.
Well, these things are to be taken very seriously.
Very good. The headlines tomorrow will say Phyllis Newman learns from Marilyn Chambers, and it'll be a very short article, though.
Quick study.
Really. Say, how much time have I got to talk? Oh, 30 seconds. Goodbye. Did I have a lot to say? Well, you'll hear it. What? 10 seconds? I was prepared to say to Marilyn, somewhere in my gut I feel that Chuck is abusing you and that you are trapped into this, and you can come home with us if you want to. Obviously, she's not trapped. Yeah. I would think maybe Chuck should come home with us. He didn't.
No.
We'll see you again. Thank you.
Our guest today will receive West Bend Stir Crazy Automatic Corn Poppers. Stirs itself to give you big, fluffy, great tasting popcorn, 6 quarts in 6 minutes, and Wexford Punch Bowl set for